A customer issue emerges. A project slips behind schedule. A supplier misses a commitment. A machine goes down. A quality concern appears. And before the discussion even begins, someone asks the same question they've asked 100 times before. Can Sarah take a look at it? Or Mike? Or Jennifer? Or Carlos? Every organization has one. The person everyone calls. The person who knows where everything is. The person who can solve problems nobody else can solve. The person who always answers. The person who somehow gets it done. The hero. And at first, heroes feel wonderful. Customers love them. Leaders trust them. Teams depend on them. Results improve. Problems get solved. Targets get met. The hero becomes proof that the organization is strong. But then something begins to happen. The hero starts working nights. The hero starts answering emails during vacation. The hero becomes part of every escalation. The hero becomes the backup plan. The hero becomes the plan. Then one day the hero says, "I'm exhausted," or worse, "I've accepted another opportunity." And suddenly the room gets quiet. Not because everyone likes them, because everyone realizes how much of the organization was living inside one person. That's what today's episode is about. The hero trap, and why great leaders build systems, not saviors. Quick note before we begin. The views shared on Compass to Practice are my personal views and do not reflect those of my employer or any current or former company. I do not share confidential, proprietary, customer-specific, or employer-specific information on this podcast. Welcome to Compass to Practice, where leaders turn intention into behavior. I'm your host, Antonio Irizarry, and today's episode is called The Hero Trap, Why Your Best People Are Exhausted, which you will also hear me say the hero syndrome. Let's be honest, heroes feel good. Heroes make customers happy. Heroes make metrics look better. Heroes make leaders feel safe. When something goes wrong, there's comfort in knowing somebody can fix it. The challenge is that heroes create an illusion, the illusion that the system is healthier than it actually is. Imagine a machine that breaks every Friday. Every Friday, the same technician fixes it. Management sees output. Customers receive product. The schedule survives. Everyone celebrates the technician. But the machine is still broken. The technician isn't solving the problem. The technician is protecting everyone from seeing it. Organizations do this constantly. They mistake heroics for capability. They mistake resilience for health. They mistake effort for design. And eventually, reality arrives, because every hero reaches a limit. One of the fastest ways to diagnose a hero trap is simple. Have your best employee take a 3-week vacation. Watch what happens. Not what people say, what they do. Do meetings suddenly get postponed? Do approvals stop? Do projects slow down? Do people become nervous? Do customers start asking questions? If so, you've discovered something important. Knowledge is not living inside the system. Knowledge is living inside a person. And every person eventually leaves, retires, transfers, gets promoted, gets sick, takes vacation, moves on. The organization should not become fragile because one individual is unavailable, yet many do. Not because leaders intended it, because dependence grows gradually, one exception at a time, one favor at a time, one rescue at a time, until eventually the hero becomes the operating system. One reason Toyota became exceptional wasn't because they hired superheroes. It was because they reduced dependence on them. Toyota understood something profound. If your best operator leaves tomorrow and production collapses, you don't have a people advantage. You have a system weakness. This is one of the reasons standard work became such a foundational element of the Toyota production system. Standard work was never about limiting people. It was about protecting knowledge, capturing learning, creating repeatability, making success transferable. Toyota asked a different question than many organizations ask. Not, who can solve this, but how do we make sure everyone can solve this? That's a completely different philosophy. One creates heroes, the other creates capability, and capability scales. For decades, Southwest Airlines became known for operational excellence. People often focus on culture, and culture absolutely mattered. But another factor mattered too: simplicity. Processes were designed to be repeatable. Training was extensive. Cross-functional knowledge was encouraged. The organization didn't depend on a handful of experts carrying all the answers. Knowledge flowed. Capability flowed. The system carried the load. That's one of the reasons great organizations feel different. You don't see constant heroics. You see consistency. And consistency is usually a sign of a healthy system. It was because they reduced dependence on them. Toyota understood something profound. If your best operator leaves tomorrow and production collapses, you don't have a people advantage. You have a system weakness. This is one of the reasons standard work became such a foundational element of the Toyota production system. Standard work was never about limiting people. It was about protecting knowledge, capturing learning, creating repeatability, making success transferable. Toyota asked a different question than many organizations ask. Not, who can solve this, but how do we make sure everyone can solve this? That's a completely different philosophy. One creates heroes, the other creates capability, and capability scales. Almost every growing company eventually encounters the same challenge. The founder becomes chief salesperson, chief approver, chief strategist, chief problem solver, chief firefighter. Everything runs through one person. At first it works. The company grows. The founder knows everything. The founder can make decisions quickly. The founder creates momentum. Then growth arrives. And growth exposes the bottleneck. People wait. Approvals wait. Customers wait. Decisions wait. The founder isn't failing. The system is. Because no organization scales through one brain. Eventually, every founder faces the same decision: build a system or become the constraint. Healthcare learned this lesson through painful experience. For years, information often remained trapped inside individuals. Doctors, specialists, nurses, experts, researchers discovered something important. Many critical failures occurred during handoffs, not because people lacked expertise, because knowledge wasn't transferred, information was trapped. Today, hospitals use structured handoff systems, checklists, communication protocols, standardized processes, because healthcare realized something profound. The safest system is not dependent on memory. The safest system is dependent on communication. Leadership works exactly the same way. Knowledge trapped is risk. Knowledge transferred is capability. One of the greatest tests of an organization occurs when an iconic leader leaves. When Steve Jobs passed away, many people predicted Apple would struggle. Some believed Apple was Steve Jobs. But something interesting happened. Apple continued. Products launched. Innovation continued. Performance remained strong. Why? Because over time, capability became embedded in the organization. Culture, processes, talent, decision-making systems. The goal of leadership is not to become irreplaceable. The goal is to build something that survives you. A hero creates dependency. A leader creates continuity. That's a very different legacy. Let's talk about something most leaders never measure: the cost of heroics. When someone constantly saves the day, what happens? Documentation doesn't get updated. Training gets delayed. Root causes remain unresolved. Workarounds become normal. Processes never mature. The organization begins budgeting for miracles. Think about that. Budgeting for miracles. Assuming the hero will save the day. Again and again and again, until one day they can't. The most dangerous thing about heroics isn't burnout, it's invisibility. Heroics hide system weakness, and hidden weaknesses eventually become visible, usually at the worst possible moment. One of the lessons Ethan learns in Nerevia Rising is that transformation doesn't happen when leaders become heroes. Transformation happens when organizations become capable. Early in the story, too much knowledge lives with too few people. Too many decisions depend on a handful of individuals. Too many problems require extraordinary effort. People are admired for their sacrifice. But eventually, Ethan realizes something important. The goal is not better firefighters. The goal is fewer fires. The goal isn't more heroics. The goal is stronger systems. That's the turning point. And it's one of the most important leadership lessons in the entire story. The hero trap touches all four directions of the leadership compass. Humility, recognizing leadership isn't about being indispensable. Clarity, making knowledge visible and transferable. Courage, confronting dependencies before they become crises. Empathy, protecting your best people from burnout. This week's practice is called the hero audit. Ask yourself, who gets called when everything goes wrong? What knowledge exists only in their head? What meetings cannot happen without them? What decisions wait for them? What breaks if they leave tomorrow? Then ask the most important question, what system should exist instead? Because the strongest organizations aren't the ones with the best heroes. They're the ones that no longer require heroes to succeed. Heroics feel good. Systems scale. And leadership is ultimately about building systems that allow ordinary people to achieve extraordinary results. Until next time, turn intention into behavior. Follow me on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you want more information, visit my website, www.compasstopractice.com.